Welcome, age of vintage society. Beauty and brains. Glamorous Corinne Calvet is one of the earliest smart and ambitious French actresses of the post-World War II era, who built a desirable image and career in Hollywood. Coming from a legal background, this iconic lady got her name immersed in a series of scandalous legal battles, amidst outrageous love life, that has made fans wonder the extent to which certain events could be described as courage rather than rascality. What did Corinne Calvet mean by, "I had his destiny between my legs"? Corinne Calvet was such a cute lady with a charming appeal that would make anyone want to connect, but inside she may just be one of those that should not be messed with. If it's not right in her terms, you can't get her yes. This is just one way I could describe this highly desirable lady. When I hear people describe a person as being smart and ambitious, it's more often that the person is disadvantaged in one aspect of life, so the individual must be smart in overcoming any of the deficiencies. The reverse may just be the case for a charismatic persona like Corinne Calvet. Corinne was naturally gifted in many areas of life, beauty, brilliance, and commercial talent that made her irresistible in the entertainment scene. Unfortunately, it does appear as if her creative attraction was useless within the Hollywood system that could not see beyond her sexual appeal. Corinne was also lucky in Hollywood as one of the few French performers with an elaborate career, with several American movies to her credit. One fascinating thing about her is the glamour and juicy sensual imputes that characterized most of her remarkable roles. Critics say she was among the most outlandish Hollywood introduction in the 1950s that was critically overwhelmed by scandal. She spent more of her precious days in Hollywood trying to reclaim her true copy, which was shrouded in a romantic sham, a famous battle with her 3 husbands and lovers. Her issues became as famous as her career, because at some point, if she was not indicting someone in the law court, she was being indicted. Those multiple litigations did not escape the prying eyes of the media, who gave the issues even more attention than her acting talent. Corinne is not the usual kind of dumb blonde. She is one lady who grew up with a circle of intellectuals in the city of Paris, and had acquired enough existentialist attitude which she brought to Hollywood sets. You can't take away academic luminosity from this beautiful lady, who exercised the right intellect and fluency to win a place at the Sorbonne, where she read criminal law before dropping the bureaucratic process of the legal profession for a more exciting entertainment career. The majority of Calvet's movies were filmed in the 1950s. At the time, Hollywood needed international stars to get more attention in the international market for their movies. She came in high spirits, only to be confronted by issues that got her furious. Interestingly, Calvet did not hesitate when she filed a $1 million slander lawsuit against famous Zsa Zsa Gabor, claiming that Gabor had maliciously told a leading Hollywood journalist and several others that she was not a French woman. Although the case was hurriedly dismissed, even though Calvet's origins as a French lady were found to be correct, the issue is just one of many romantic-cum-legal quagmire that engulfed her years of Hollywood acting fame. Corinne Calvet is one lady who knows when and how to switch her seductive charm to her advantage. She knew her charm could be mesmerizing on those who fell under her spell, so she intermittently used what she had to get what she wanted. I'm not sure this is the right way to describe her ways in Hollywood, but she did have her way in an industry that has eyes and ears for beautiful creatures like her. I heard she could spend her money and time on the best dress to get the attention of a director or producer who she thinks could help further her career. That must have been the way she rolled. I guess not a bad idea for such a unique lady. I heard that the first time Corinne entered the American film industry, Hollywood studio promoted her as a combination of Dietrich and Rita Hayworth. That is how cute she was. But unfortunately her eccentric image negated the much publicized persona, even though analysts thought that the fault may not just be hers, not with the series of mediocre movies with little or no creativity that she played. Calvet's sultry appearance, those flashing gazes, associated her with a naughty sense of humour, and somewhat true to that assessment, she eventually became an icon best remembered, not for one classic movie, but for her sizzling private life and those media sensational legal tussles. Corinne Calvet was born in 1925 into a rich family as Corinne Debeau, in the city of Paris, by a scientist mother credited for the development of Pyrex glass. She survived the horrible World War II, but her sisters were not as lucky when they were taken hostage by the Germans. Corinne and her father had to flee the territory to Paris. Calvet grew up dreaming of becoming a legal luminary, the reason she studied criminal law, but within that period she was said to have made friends around the De Magot Café, where she usually hung out, and at some point she got inspired to try acting. She was advised to join Charles Dullin's acting school, where the likes of Simone Signoret and Gérard Philippe were also trained before advancing her talent at l'École du Cinéma. On how she was able to adapt to the acting profession, even though it was not her initial idea, Corinne was famously quoted to have said, "A lawyer needs exactly what an actor needs: strong personality, persuasive powers, and a good voice." Calvet first appeared in French radio and then stage plays and cinema sometime in the 1940s, and is said to have been part of the film Blind Desire, though was uncredited. When she became the French voice of Rita Hayworth in the dubbed adaptation of an American movie, fans knew that it was only a matter of time before Hollywood brought her in. Interestingly, as she began acting, her father asked her not to use the family name in her performances, so she altered her name and adopted Calvet, a name she got from a bottle of wine. It was said that the post-war era saw major Hollywood studios bringing in female talent from Europe that could compete with the likes of Garbeau, Dietrich, or even Bergman, and add more colour to their movies. In line with this, Paramount Studios got attracted to Corinne, and she was brought in. The studio thought she would be a fit as a French woman to take the role of a suspected traitor in Sealed Verdict. After signing her contract, they made official her name as Corinne Calvet, but she missed the role because they assumed she was too young, and Florence Marley was cast instead. The studio kept her behind for almost a year, but Calvet did not allow the period to be completely wasted, because she was training and improvising her English, even though some persons insinuated that Calvet may have spent much of the period in nightclubs instead of learning English. During this period, Calvet almost lost her US entry permit because her link to the existentialist group in France was being suspiciously monitored by the House Un-American Activities Committee. Maybe or maybe not the reason Paramount ended her contract, but not too long Calvet took a screen test at MGM, after which she was given a 6 months contract. That period was full of trials and temptations for Corinne, including a car accident, from which she gracefully recovered. Critics say it seems the one method she adopted to scale through the danger of being repatriated to France at the time was to get a US husband. It was within this time that she met and fell in love with actor John Bromfield. John Bromfield at the time was contracted to Hal B. Wallis, and when Wallis learned of her creative talent through a screen test, Calvet luckily would be on her way back to Paramount as facilitated by Wallis for a role in Rope of Sand. Calvet played opposite Burt Lancaster and Paul Henreid as put together by director William Dieterle. The movie was her Hollywood debut, and though described as a second-rate movie, it was just enough to get her going, even as her marriage to John Bromfield, a handsome 27-year-old lover who was also cast in the movie, becomes inevitable. Even with opposition from his mother, John Bromfield was hell-bent on hurling glamorous Corinne Calvet to the marriage registry. The couple were married in Boulder City and would spend their wedding night honeymoon at Las Vegas's Flamingo Hotel. Wallis was, however, romantically interested in Calvet. Not even her marriage to Bromfield could make him shift ground. Rather, he decided to trade her husband's career with his intense interest in her. Calvet hinted that Wallis promised that he would help her husband's career if she would agree to his advances, and this is what she meant when she told fans that "I had his destiny between my legs." Not too long after their return from honeymoon to Los Angeles, Bromfield had a shooting engagement at a location in Arizona. As you already know, the husband and wife are now working for Hal Wallis Productions. If what Calvet said is anything to go by, one late afternoon while her husband was away, Hal Wallace, the Casablanca producer, pulled at their apartment. After a bit of chit-chat, he tries to grab Corinne. She took to her heel to safety by locking herself in the bathroom and reminding him from the top of her voice that she was a married woman. He tried to cajole her into believing that he was the one who told John to propose to her, and that it was nothing to do with love, rather than a marriage designed to suit the studio. She felt so horrible, but was resolute in her decision. Fortunately or unfortunately, she snubbed Wallace's proposal and had her husband punished for that, as his contract was subsequently terminated. Secondly, Wallace cast her in My Friend Irma Goes West, which starred Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. I couldn't believe he would cast me in such a script, Calvet once lamented in anger. She thought that the Rope of Sand movie made her a valuable property in the industry, but in her words, doing this film, referring to My Friend Irma Goes West, would ruin my chances of rising higher as a dramatic star. What Calvet did not find funny about the movie are the particular scenes she did with an infatuated chimpanzee. As if that was not enough, Wallace cast her again opposite Martin and Lewis in another mediocre movie, Sailor Beware, even though she objected vehemently about the role. This is one of the many embarrassing situations that Calvet had to put up with. She explained how she had been introduced by a friend to Paramount, and how she found the questions being asked too personal, that she had to tear the questionnaire. I started filling in the answers, but soon the questions began to probe into my private life. Did I wear pyjamas or a nightgown? My preference in men, short, tall, fat, skinny, hairy, or bald, she stated, adding that the questionnaire seems more like the type a madam might use in selecting girls to work in a brothel. Even though she tore the form and swaggers out, Paramount still gave her the contract. She almost rejected it, but was convinced by her friend to accept it, and on arrival in New York, Calvet said she was shocked to discover that the press and the studio were just interested in making her a sex symbol. She blamed the situation on the stereotyped notions of American men about French women. Their eyebrows would go up, and they would leer sideways as they greeted me, she explained, as if she was just another French woman ready to be used. Though it was not surprising to her, as she was warned to be on the lookout for the American wolves she would encounter. The tortured journey began with special treatment from Paramount's head of talent and casting, William Michaeljohn, in his exotic car, but she turned him down. When in 1952 Calvet sued actress Zsa Zsa Gabor for calling her a Cockney English girl who couldn't even speak French a few years ago, we all thought that the court would have given better justice to the allegation, but it unfortunately ended the way it did, as Gabor had argued that Calvet's suit was without merit, and the court seemingly agreed with her, and that one ended the way it started, with nothing tangible to show for it. It seems Corinne Calvet had a lot of things going on in her private life, because lots of fans may have forgotten about the Gabor case, when about 16 years after Calvet's name hit the headlines once again. But this time she was not accusing anybody, rather her beau of 6 years, Donald Scott, is the one asking for justice. Scott had approached the law court asking the court to help him get back $878,000 in assets that he had placed under her name because he wanted to hide them from his wife during his divorce battle. But that is not the end of the story, because the fortnight legal tussle saw Mr. Scott claiming that Calvet did not just cast a spell on him with her beauty, but that she must have used voodoo to lure him into the arrangement. The news went viral, with leading gossip tabloids obsessing over the scandalous news incident, but in the end we heard that Calvet was settled with the sum of $200,000. While Calvet is known for several juicy reports about her numerous boyfriends, she is also one of those who believe in matrimonial life with someone you love, but unfortunately her 3 marriages could not stand the test of time. Even with a son from her second husband, the marriages all ended against her wishes. This is also what Corinne Calvet meant when she told the media satirically about her observation of American men. She thought that they make wonderful husbands if you don't love them, but if you love them, don't marry them. Not only did she believe that they're lousy lovers, she just thinks they are little boys who don't know what they want. Corinne Calvet also has advice for those thinking of falling in love in America to think twice, because in America you don't have romances, you have affairs. These affairs lack class, she said. Her demise in 2001 at age 76 was attributed to a cerebral hemorrhage. If you want to continue exploring the glamorous world of classic Hollywood, make sure to check out our next video about Elsa Martinelli. You'll discover the photo shoots that made her famous and how she dared to bear in a time when it was considered taboo.